Welcome to the most extensive, exhaustive waiver wire list. We're doing waiver wire pickups at every single position. They're ranked, and we're also doing defenses and kickers to stream, and we're doing it every single week. What's going on, Couch fam? These are my waiver wire pickups for week 2. Let's go on to the quarterbacks. I'm getting a lot of questions about which waiver wire pickup do I pick, who do I drop, how much FAB do I spend, do I waste a waiver priority claim. So what I recommend is you watch this entire video. I'm going to go over a lot of things and hopefully answer your question. I also do read every single comment, so drop a comment if you still have a question. I'll be happy to check it out and hopefully have enough time to respond to it. So with the quarterbacks, Jameis Winston has been my number one sleeper going into this year. He's my number one waiver wire pickup on the last video we did, and he's number one here. He'll be a little bit risky, a little bit inconsistent, but I absolutely love him, and now he's got some great receivers, and he's actually throwing to wide receivers. Number 2, Carson Wentz. He showed a lot of promise. I saw him just absolutely going for it, hitting all these wide receivers in the end zone, and I really liked it. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be good or anything like that, but he did put my mind to ease as far as like, is he going to be the most inaccurate starting quarterback in the league? Yeah, he's going to be risky and up and down, but I think he's going to hit a lot of guys like Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson. He's even got Logan Thomas. He's got running backs that can catch. So he's got a lot of weapons. Terry McLaurin's not going to get all the heat like he has been in years past. So I do like Carson Wentz, and he throws the ball. He takes those risks. So that's going to help us get touchdowns. Touchdowns are king in fantasy, and I say that in almost every single video. We also have Daniel Jones, just really as a depth guy. A lot of people have Dak Prescott and need some other options if you're in a deep league. I don't recommend getting Daniel Jones. I don't like him a lot, but I decided to rank him. This is an extensive, exhaustive list. And if you're in Superflex, you can get Geno Smith. We thought Drew Lock might start, or he might start as soon as week 2, but Geno Smith played well enough where we have confidence that Geno Smith might start the entire season or the vast majority of the season. So he's a good pickup in Superflex or 2 quarterback leagues. Cooper Rush, he's the starting quarterback now for the Cowboys, but they might trade for a guy like Teddy Bridgewater, who's one of the best backups in the league. So I have him here as well. And then we also have Jimmy G, another good backup. Look, a lot of these waiver wire pickups won't be for you, and Jimmy G is one of those guys who just might not be right for your team. Moving on to running backs, Jeff Wilson's the number one waiver wire ad this week, but I would not spend a lot of FAB on him. Matter of fact, I'm probably not spending any FAB in any of my leagues. Well, I don't know. Maybe in some of them I might, but I'm overall recommending that you don't go all out and waste your number one waiver wire claim or spend 100% FAB on a player. So it's going to vary from league to league, from roster to roster. If you're super desperate for a running back, Jeff Wilson's going to be solid. He's going to be the starter. I just don't see workhorse numbers for him. He used to be a solid goal line running back. He can catch. He can do everything. Shanahan trusts him. But I got 2 more Niner running backs on this list. I don't think he's going to get a ton of work. We're going to see Trey Lance run 10 times a game. We're going to see Debo run 5 times a game, 6, 7 times a game. And we're going to see the other running backs run. So I don't love Jeff Wilson. Me, myself, I mostly subscribe to the strategy, the waiver strategy, if I have FAB, and every one of my leagues are FAB. I know a lot of people play waiver priority, and I recommend you switch over to FAB ASAP. It's hands down the best. I highly recommend it. Anyway, I digress. I'm more of the guy to go all in on a player like Eli Mitchell last year. Some people got Cordell Patterson. That's the type of player I want. I don't think Jeff Wilson fits that bill. I'm more of the guy to risk it and see if there's any dumb league mates or guys who forget about the waivers. I mean, it happens in every league, right? Let's not pretend it doesn't. Maybe I get Rex Burkhead for a $0 bid, or maybe I get Khalil Herbert off free agency, or even one of these other guys like Isaiah Pacheco or Dontrell Hilliard. So I'm willing to take that risk. And you know what? Most of the time, I'm pretty confident I'm going to be able to get one of these top 5, top 7 running backs for $0 or off free agency without burning my waiver wire claim. But a lot of these are pretty self-explanatory. Jeff Wilson's going to be the starter now. Rex Burkhead was used a lot more than Dameon Pierce. Now expect Dameon Pierce to gradually get more and more involved in the offense and get more snaps, but Rex Burkhead is the trusted running back here. He's versatile. He can catch. And in PPR leagues, why would you start Dameon Pierce over Rex Burkhead? At least not for now. Khalil Herbert, man, if he was the starting running back on the Bears, that would be amazing. This is kind of the same topic. A lot of fantasy owners, the fantasy community has said about Zeke versus Pollard the last year or so. Is like, man, just put in Pollard. He's more efficient. He gets bigger plays. He's faster. And that's exactly what Khalil Herbert is. He's better suited for this offense, but didn't really get a lot of snaps. We saw Montgomery still get 66% of the snaps, but let's see. I just don't foresee Khalil Herbert to be involved even less moving forward in the offense. But, we'll see. Isaiah Pacheco, I liked how he looked. And they actually did use him. This is one of those sleepers that I liked in the beginning before the year started and is actually panning out. This is not looking like Darwin Thompson. And I'm fairly surprised. I said 25%. This is going to actually work out. But I'm on the Pacheco hype train. I think he's worth rostering. And he is worth rostering. Dontrell Hilliard, I was wrong about Hassan Haskins and the backup or handcuff situation with Derrick Henry. Now, if Derrick Henry were to get hurt, Dontrell Hilliard would not be a workhorse, but he's worth an ad right now. He has standalone value, and of course, his snap count would increase if something were to happen to Derrick Henry and Henry missed time. So Dontrell Hilliard, definitely worth an ad in PPR leagues. I think when the game is close or the tight ends are trailing, Dontrell Hilliard will be used. You probably don't want to start Dontrell Hilliard if the tight ends have an easy game and they'll have a commanding lead. But otherwise, I was wrong about Hilliard, and he looked really good, by the way. I'm more of a believer now. Jamal Williams has always been a sleeper. He gets some snaps. He gets some goal line touches. He won't have too much upside and will be fairly TD dependent, but he's still worth an ad. He'll be like your RB6 or even RB7 or something like that. Jaylen Warren would be the workhorse running back. He'll get all the snaps pretty much if Najee misses any time. And we've had a lot of worries about Najee Harris already. They're downplaying this injury. They essentially lied to us / kept it mysterious / didn't really tell us what's going on, or we don't know about this foot injury. There was something definitely going on before this Lisfranc injury. So although it doesn't seem super major, it could linger, and he could miss at least 1 week, or he can suffer another injury, re-injure the foot. I don't know. But Warren is definitely worth an ad. He's a super good handcuff. Even if you don't have Najee Harris, he's a great ad. I always liked Rachaad White, but Leonard Fournette looked amazing. At least, though, we know that the Bucs should be a solid team. Rachaad White didn't look bad, and he is the direct backup to Leonard Fournette. His pass-catching ability also helps him out a lot, but Lenny looked great. He should definitely have that number 1 job solidified. Brian Robinson is worth an ad if he's somehow available. If your league has an IR spot, Schefter reported that a week 5 return is actually very realistic. So he might return, be activated, and then in a couple weeks take over that RB1 job for the Washington Commanders. As of right now, I think Jordan Mason is actually the RB2 for the 49ers. Now that can change. Playing with 49ers running backs is a very risky game, a game that a lot of people don't like to play. We all know that. I try to predict them. Unfortunately, I drafted Eli Mitchell in a couple leagues, and I'm really suffering. Yet again, another 49er running back gets injured almost instantly, and chaos ensues. I'm not going to call it running back by committee. I'm just going to call it running back chaos for the 49ers per usual. Now, Matt Breida is on this list, and I really like him. I think there's not going to be too many good handcuffs this year, but this is one right here. If he can get even 50-60% of the production Saquon produces, if anything were to happen to Saquon, Breida would be an every week starter. So definitely get Matt Breida if you have Saquon, and get Matt Breida if you have it in a deep league and he's available. I love him because, like I said, there's not that many good handcuffs out there. And in deeper leagues, we have TDP. He will be the RB3 with a chance to compete for that RB2 job and possibly even the starting job, as we went over. Very chaotic Niners backfield every year. Eno Benjamin is the number 2 running back for the Cardinals. For wide receivers, this list, really don't worry about the numbers. Number 1 and number 11 is essentially interchangeable. I kept looking at it. I'm looking at, routes, like how routes run, right? How many routes have these guys run? How many targets have they got? Their quarterback situation. It's almost even. There is almost nothing separating Robbie Anderson from Devin Duvernay. Nothing. Number 1, number 11 doesn't matter, and that goes with the running backs. I get if you want to spend some FAB or burn a waiver wire claim on a running back, I don't hate it. Like I said, most of my leagues I'm not doing it. I don't hate it. For a wide receiver though, I would not. I definitely would not. It's all over the place. Like Jarvis Landry, for instance, he's great. He's going to be moving the chains. I love Jarvis Landry. He's a high floor wide receiver. He could be the number 1 wide receiver easily here. But I'm thinking, man, the Saints defense, if they actually show up and play better early on, which I think they're very capable of doing, maybe they don't throw to Jarvis Landry that much. Remember, they also have Olave. They got Taysom Hill vulturing. They got Mike Thomas. He's back. They got Kamara. There's a lot of weapons there. And so if the game script is not, like the Saints aren't behind in games, they had to come back. So Jameis Winston had to put the team on his back in the second half and throw the ball. Jameis and Mike Thomas weren't doing much in the first half. I don't know if he's going to be an every week starter. This is the type of guy you may want to trade away and sell high. Don't get me wrong. I like Jarvis Landry, but wide receivers are essentially interchangeable if you don't have a top 5 one like Stephon Diggs or Adams or better. Anyway, these are the wide receivers here. Like I said, I've been looking at this, and when I see one guy has a better quarterback than the other, one guy's run more routes than the other, one guy has more touchdown upside, the other doesn't. It's so close. But I'll just read off the names here. We got Robbie Anderson, Donovan Peoples-Jones, shocking 11 targets. Jarvis Landry at 3. Josh Palmer at 4. Gets a boost if Keenan Allen misses. He'll probably miss like a week or so. Christian Watson, nice stash. This guy could be like your league winner or playoff run, or maybe, week 5, week 7, he just absolutely blows up and is the number 1 wide receiver there for the Packers. Romeo Doubs has proven himself, I think, in game 1. And these guys were okay in game 1. Remember, Rodgers was essentially the worst quarterback in week 1. So imagine if Rodgers actually plays mediocre, his wide receivers should do much better. Jahan Dotson, he looked great, right? He was 80% of the snaps he was in there. Didn't get too many targets, but seemed like almost every target he got was for a touchdown, double touchdown game for him. Kyle Phillips, he is actually my sleeper out of the week. And I absolutely like Kyle Phillips in PPR leagues. If you're in a non-PPR league, I would avoid this guy. But in a PPR league, I would highly consider him. Now, is he like Hunter Renfrow? Yes, he just might not get as many touchdowns as Renfro got last year. That's really the only thing. But we've absolutely loved this guy in Dynasty for Couch Fam. I think I drafted him in just about every league or tried to. It was a great Dynasty pick. We got this guy in round 3, round 4 in rookie draft. So absolutely loved it. Look at this, man. A rookie in his first game on a running team, right? This guy's got 9 targets in 6 receptions, 66 yards. So double-digit fantasy points his first game. He can get open. And, he didn't score a touchdown. And so you assume he's going to get more than 0 touchdowns this year. His snaps were 46%. Now, that's tough to kind of judge on this type of team who might use a lot of 2 wide receiver sets and run the ball a lot and probably use Derrick Henry more. But 46%, he's kind of got to be in 3 wide receiver sets, be the slot guy. I don't see it going down that much more. It could go down to 33%, but I figured they're gonna want to figure out a way to use this guy. I really think so, and I don't think it will dip more than 46%. So again, sleeper ad of the week, we got Kyle Phillips. All right, back to the remaining wide receivers. Zay Jones is the number 2 wide receiver for the Jaguars. 9 targets. That's significant. Usually when I look at tight ends, I want to see a tight end get 5 targets that game. That's usually a good, okay, he was heavily targeted. 4 is fine for a tight end, matter of fact. For wide receivers, I'm looking at usually 6. 6 in a game is pretty good. 6 or 7 for tight ends is 4 or 5. That's usually like the marker. Be like, hey, they were looking at this guy. The quarterback was looking his way. At number 10, we got Curtis Samuel. He looked really good and had heavy usage. I just don't know which Washington Commander player is going to show up from week to week. It could be Curtis Samuel, it could be Dotson. I think it's going to be McLaurin a lot. But that bodes well for Washington and bodes well for Wentz. So they're going to be moving the ball. And that's really what we want. That's one thing you're worried about when you draft a Washington Commander player. Is this team going to unravel, absolutely suck, not score any touchdowns, right? Go to their 3rd quarterback. Like, these things happened before with Washington. So as of right now, Wentz looks like a real quarterback, and this team looks like a real team. It's only been 1 week against the Jags, but so far so good. A lot more promise than it did last year and the year before. And number 11, we got Devin Duvernay, who is the number 2 wide receiver for the Ravens. It could be a significant role, maybe not. But this guy in best ball, man, seems like all he does is catch 50-yard passes. And at number 12, we have Greg Dortch. I don't know much about this guy, but he was the number 1 receiver on the Cardinals week 1, so maybe he is worth an ad while Hopkins is hurt. Maybe he's DeAndre Hopkins' replacement. We'll put it like that. Or substitute, whichever term you want to use. For tight ends, this is kind of the same as wide receivers. None of these really stand out to me at all. So Tyler Conklin, I was actually going to push him hard on this video, but looking more closely to the situation, the Jets trailed, they had to throw the ball, and they have a ton of weapons, including Breece Hall, who got like 10 targets, Michael Carter, who can catch. They got Braxton Berrios, who was involved in the offense, Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, the number 1 receiver so far, and Elijah Moore. They have so many weapons there. CJ Uzama was supposed to be involved, but that didn't happen. Still, he's my number 1 tight end. If he does end up being something, 92% of snaps and 7 targets is pretty much elite numbers when you're talking about a free agent or waiver wire claim for tight end. Now, the second guy on this list has a much better quarterback, Gerald Everett. So he's got Justin Herbert throwing him the ball. So if you want to put him number 1 and Conklin number 2, I understand. I almost did. They're pretty close. Now, the thing alarming about Gerald Everett is it's kind of a 50-50 split between him and Trey McKitty. Hopefully I said his name right. Now, Gerald Everett seems to be the better pass catcher. He scored the touchdown, but it is a little bit worrisome, like the same amount of snaps, same amount of targets. Like, that doesn't scream like he's the guy. But, who is the guy? Justin Herbert. That's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Tyler Higbee, these mostly came in garbage time, and they weren't quality targets, but he's still pretty good. Kyle Granson led the Colts as far as tight end targets. Jonnu Smith, as reported, as predicted, he is much more involved in the offense. Won't have a lot of upside, will be terribly inconsistent. But remember, Hunter Henry's always gotten hurt in the past, except last year. So if anything were to happen to Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith would be like, okay, he'd be better. Logan Thomas played. He wasn't horrible. And Taysom Hill, the ultimate vulture. Sometimes he's eligible to be a quarterback. Could be tight end. That does increase his value a little bit. But it's getting kind of funky here. For defenses, I had to write this here. This do not drop 49ers D was a note to myself, but I couldn't forget to write it because the 49ers D was so disappointing. Now, almost nobody's going to drop them or anything, but there are fantasy managers who are extremely emotional, and they might drop him. I'm telling you, do not drop the Niners D. Have faith in them. Start them with confidence. Week 2, they will be a top 2, top 3 defense. And, hey, maybe I look like an idiot again, but I'm telling you, don't drop the Niners D. Don't do anything drastic like that. Now, even though the Rams defense is rostered in a vast majority of leagues, sometimes people wanted to stream defenses, and I saw them on my waivers and free agency in a lot of 12-team leagues that I'm in. And they are pretty much a must pick up and start against the Falcons. I do like them. Bengals D, no-brainer here going against the Cowboys with no Dak Prescott. And let's just face it, the Cowboys are not going to be good this year. Browns defense going against the Jets. These three are pretty much elite defenses right here. Like, I can start these three with confidence. I love them. Broncos D is a good start against the Texans. Patriots D against the Steelers. You have the then now we're getting into kind of deep leagues here. Actually, did I even... This is not correct. Nobody wants this. Oh, yeah, nobody. Well, actually, yeah, it is. Okay, so this is correct. After number 5, you don't want any of these, okay? That's what's going on here. So hopefully you can get like the Bengals or Browns I love. Like hopefully you can get one of these two. Something like that. Broncos will be fine. Patriots are pretty risky, but they should bounce back. They're okay. After that, you don't want any of these other guys. But I'm really interested to see what the Giants can do, man. Maybe Kayvon Thibodeau is back. We'll see. Anyway, moving on to kickers. We got top 2 kickers is what you want, all right? So if you have Justin Tucker, keep him. Evan McPherson, hopefully they'll get their special team situation fixed. He got a attempt blocked in week 1, so hopefully they get that fixed. If you have Tyler Bass, if you have those 3 kickers, Matt Gay, excellent kicker. He's rostered in almost every league. So if you have any of those 4 kickers, stick with them. Even Daniel Carlson, he should be okay. I wouldn't necessarily drop him or anything. So if you have an elite kicker, stick with them. That's going to be Tucker, Evan McPherson, Bass, Matt Gay, maybe even Daniel Carlson. Like those guys would be okay. All right. Now, and Harrison Butker, of course, is questionable. He got injured, so I would love him, but I don't know. I might have to drop him and add a kicker off free agency. Now, if you're looking for a kicker, though, these 2 are basically elite. I never hated Cade York, but I was unsure of him. Now I have a lot more confidence in him. So get Brandon McManus going against the Texans. Get Cade York going against the Jets. They're both home games. They should both have a commanding league. They both have a great leg, good accuracy. I love them. Decent floor, should be consistent, and have great upside because of that leg power. So if you can get one of those 2, or if you have an elite kicker, you should be good. If not, go for Jake Elliott. That's my number 3 option. Greg Joseph, Robbie Gould. Not a ton of upside with Robbie Gould, unless you get lucky and they keep settling for field goals. Matt Prater, he's going to be the Dawson Knox of kickers. Dawson Knox is good, and he's going to be good this year, but wildly inconsistent. I told people not to draft him. Don't like Knox. Because of that, you never know when to start him. like we saw week 1, right? The Bills did great, Josh Allen did great, and Dawson knocked out 5 yards. That's going to be Matt Prater. He's going to get you 20 points, he's going to get you 11 points, and he's going to get you 1 point. Like, it's going to happen, so be very wary of Matt Prater. I'm not a big fan of his. Dustin Hopkins, we got him at 7, and we get Younghoe Koo at 8. Now, everyone's kind of hating on me. Why do I have Koo ranked so low? This and that. I love the talent. He is an elite kicker, but he will not put up elite numbers every week. This Falcons-Saints game did not go like we expected, and that's why he put up so many points. If the Falcons get absolutely destroyed this game, Younghoe Koo won't be kicking too many field goals and extra points. He's okay. I just don't trust the Falcons. I trust the talent. I don't trust the Falcons. If you want to start Younghoe Koo, do it at your own risk. He's okay, but I don't trust the situation. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're following me on all social media accounts at Fantasy Couch. We're on everything: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, everywhere. Subscribe to our second YouTube channel, Fantasy Couch Podcast, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.